Pulling the Thread Podcast, episode 91.
I think I got him.
No, there's no way you got him.
I think I got him.
That's
a different fly.
No, it's not a different
it's a
fly.
White fly.
You didn't even swing.
There's no way you got him with that weak-ass swing.
I got him.
Like, all the chemicals that you're using, and you could barely swing that thing.
Do I need to find the body?
No, yeah.
There is no body.
There's no body.
Yeah, because you haven't seen the regular fly.
Look, that is him.
That's not him.
He flew right at you, laughing, giggling.
Why don't you turn a light?
Look, you were 4 feet away from him.
That's a different fly.
That's not a different. It's not white. That's the reflection of the light off
this enormous light here that blinds me.
His underbelly.
Why don't you put a light in the back of the studio on so it draws the fly back there?
Yeah.
Let's see if that works.
Of course it doesn't work.
Why would it work? Let's see.
I think it's the heat.
Yeah,
Heat?
that must be what it is.
Okay.
It's the heat.
All right. What are we? Episode 92?
91.
92? 91. Okay. What's going on in the world?
What are we, 11 days to the election?
Are we 11 days to the election?
Kamala Harris is having a complete meltdown. Every state shows Trump in the lead. Las Vegas shows Trump winning.
I'd be careful with all that propaganda. You never know.
Have you seen it? Have you seen any of her interviews lately?
Okay, I've seen it. I keep seeing all these things where it's like, Kamala Harris fucks up at this rally, or Kamala, and then I watch it and I'm like, she's
dumb.
She's dumb. She's doing the same shit she's always done, but I don't see how she's done something magical. The reality is, if you can't look at the last 4 years, you can't look at the last 4 years and go, or the last 3 years, and go, the Biden administration has been doing wonderful things for the people. She's the Biden administration. So, again, there is nothing she could possibly bring to the table. Nothing. She can't be like, I'm going to build a wall. You had 4 years to do it. I'm going to lower taxes. You had 4 years to do it. There's nothing she can bring to the table except a soup sandwich. And, the reality is, she was a soup sandwich as a VP. She's going to be a soup sandwich as a president if she gets elected.
Have you heard they're registering people in Mexico to vote in the United States election?
I haven't heard that.
You have or have not?
I haven't heard that.
Rob Bailey made a video and said, hey, I'm coming back from Mexico right now.
But I feel like, this is just me I feel like that's a Republican boogeyman. I feel like that's a Republican boogeyman. And the only reason why I say that is because it's always the illegal immigrants are being registered to vote.
Well, they are.
Again.
21 million of them?
What makes anyone think that just because they have come from a foreign country that they are going to vote Democrat? Like, what? The reality is the Democrat Party, especially when you think about south of the border is heavily Catholic. How is the Democratic Party in any way aligned with those ideals?
Well, you have Trump saying mass exportation, mass deportation. We're going to round them all up and immediately send them back.
What people are trying to do is they're trying to say that because they're here illegally, or because they're here from south of the border, that somehow they're not as smart as everybody else. They're just as complicated. They came from a world that is just as complicated as our world, and to say that they're that shallow because they got a Kamala Harris book at the border is going to get them to vote Democrat I think it's ignorant. I think it's the same. It's no different than Obama walking around telling black men that they're not black because they're not voting for Camilla.
Did you see all the rebuttals to all that
from
black people?
Yeah, I've seen maybe
20. I don't know how many are actually out there.
My opinion is, first off, Obama doesn't believe in a Kamala Harris presidency. Like, they're dragging him out. They're like dragging him out
to chastise black people for not voting for it.
Yeah, they're dragging him out to hopefully get him to do something. And I guarantee you, that the only reason why Obama is fucking even walking around talking is because the Democratic Party's paying his ass. That's it. He don't like her. He don't like her politics. He doesn't like her at all.
Have you seen all the lip reading stuff between him and Biden?
Yeah, him and Biden.
Yeah. Did you see Trump at McDonald's?
Yeah, I did see Trump serving burgers. Yep.
So that McDonald's had security there, right?
Yeah.
They had to vet all those people. And the Democratic Party's like, this was staged. Yeah, of course it was fucking staged. So they did that, but then they had so many threats being made against that particular restaurant that they had to continue security, and they currently have armed security still to this day, apparently. I watched a video about it this morning, that they've received so many threats for being basically on Trump's side that the wackos are just fucking, harassing them and making threats on the restaurant.
It's the ignorance of the... I don't know if it's ignorance or not. Like, do you really think that Kamala Harris walks into a bistro and has a bagel with...
Did she do that video? Was that a thing?
I mean, when you think about it, if you think about this time of year, there's always Joe Biden having ice cream at a local shop talking to just regular folks. Those people are vetted.
Just like Hillary Clinton walking in that apartment.
Yeah, all those people
asking
are vetted.
about hot sauce and shit.
So, it's just ridiculous. The liberal mindset is just
like that dipshit
bananas.
they had with the fucking raw hamburgers, putting cheese on the fucking uncooked hamburger patties.
Mm-hmm.
What was that, Schumer or something?
Yeah, Schumer. It's just amazing how ate up that side of the house is, and I mean, I'll bet this is all you need to know. I think this is all you need to know. I'll bet that if you did a real survey, that 90% of the Democratic Party is on some sort of antipsychotic drug. That they're all taking something because they're all fucking
most of your
insane.
Most of your school shooters have been that.
Yeah.
And they immediately roll it out and say that they were, registered Republican. Then you come to find out that they were not. They're actually the opposite of that. There's a bunch of crazy shit around the first. You haven't heard shit about the first shooter. Like, that's just fallen off the face of the earth. Never mind that he had 6 fucking cell phones and all kinds of burner phones and all kinds of other shit.
Well, you can't investigate yourself, John.
The second shooter, same thing. And then they got this third shooter that the sheriff's like, I'm confident we stopped an assassination attempt. And that dude's in videos with RFK, and he's friends with...
he's been in a lot of rebuttal videos. Again, though...
Yeah, Alex Jones had him on.
I would be... My thing is, if Donald Trump was coming to Tennessee, or if he was going to go, let's say he was going to go to Nashville, right? I wouldn't be like, woo, let's load the guns in the car, go drive around Nashville. It's just, you kind of ask for that shit. You ask for getting rousted because you're going to where a president is, and especially after an assassination attempt. Right?
Two of them.
And I don't want to hear all your fucking blah, 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 blah. Oh, Second Amendment, I should be able to stand right next to him. Again, a president has to have a certain degree of security involved in being a president. And if you fall under that, if they put the boots on you because you decided you wanted to open carry your 1911, then it's kind of your fault.
So I agree with you.
Yeah.
I was in Nashville when Obama happened to be in town, nowhere near where we were. And I had we were over a giant graveyard, and I was going to put the drone up and take some video. And it wouldn't go up, and it said something about presidential ITAR or something. Right. And come to find out Obama was in town. I'm like, shit, I wonder if somebody's going to come and actually question me for trying to fly this drone. And it wouldn't take off more than 3 feet. Yeah. It would do everything under 3 feet, but it would not go above 3 feet.
That's kind of weird, John. Because the first shooter used a drone.
That's right. Which is what I said that day.
Weird that the first guy was, and then the Secret Service is like, well, we didn't have the gadgets to the chick chow and it's like, come on, guys.
They're trying to ban. Several people have brought it up during the live feed. Hey, what do you think about DJ? They're banning DJI drones in the United States. And I said, I didn't know about that, but I know DJI falls right in line with everything they want to do. Like, my DJI drone will not take off when there's the president's in town or when they have these lockdowns, but there are other drones that will readily take off that you can easily get.
I think what you're dealing with there, though, when you're talking about they're banning DJI drones is a political system that doesn't understand technology, that doesn't really understand technology. And so they're like, the reality is somebody was like, these drones are a big problem. We need to take care of these drones. What drone is everybody using? The DJI drone. Let's ban the it's like when they're like classifying an assault rifle, right? They don't know the difference between an AK and an AR-15. They just come up with some bullshit.
Have you seen all the Democrats out trying to win the gun owners' votes? Have you seen all this shit?
Yeah.
Did you see the dude shot? I guess there was some spalling or something off of some steel. They have Tannerite, and their range is 10 yards, and they have steel targets. I don't know. They never did. I guess they never did shoot the Tannerite. Fucking thank God. But there's some spalling came off, hit some dude that there turns out is actually a reporter, and there's some blood pouring down. I don't know if it's real or not, how much blood it actually was. And then you see the candidate putting a tourniquet on dude's arm. Did you see all this shit?
I didn't.
Some of the gun tubers were doing videos on this stuff.
Sounds contrived.
Maybe.
But I mean, you're not supposed to shoot steel under 10 yards anyways.
Correct, especially especially Tannerite.
You're not supposed to shoot steel under 10 yards. And the other thing too is, where was he standing? I would have a sneaky suspicion that the guy was probably 90 degrees to the target anyways, which you're a fucking dumbass. It's just, the problem is there's a lot of people out there that just don't understand how any of that stuff works. And so the more popular something gets, really the more dangerous it becomes. Even though it wasn't you know what I'm saying? Like if I take this can right here, if I take this can of liquid death and 10 of us are drinking it, nothing's ever going to happen. Nothing's ever going to happen. But if it becomes popular and 300 million people start drinking it, there's going to be penises caught inside that hole. There's going to be, all kinds of crazy shit is going to happen because people are just fucking dumb, right? And so that's the more people, it's like, again, Tannerite's a good example. Tannerite was around forever. That's not a new thing. But it started to become more and more popular where people were doing more and more dumb shit with it. And then what happens? Because people are doing more and more dumb shit, dude gets his leg cut off by a lawnmower blade because he wanted to blow his lawnmower up. It becomes this thing that we have to ban now.
What happened to that dude?
The lawnmower dude?
Yeah, he was a big YouTube guy, right? Big gun channel?
I think he lost his leg.
I thought they reattached it.
Well, maybe. I don't know. But again, I'm all for every individual needs to be judged individually, right? And sometimes you got to let Darwin decide who survives and who doesn't. If you want to take 50 pounds of Tannerite and put it in your fucking Honda Civic and shoot it, I'm all for it.
Right, as long as it kills you and not fucking a bunch of other people that weren't involved.
If it blows your head off.
If you're dumb enough to stand on the range while it happened.
If you're dumb enough, if it blows your head off, I'm like, well, there's natural selection right there. So, I don't know. Again, accidents happen, but it seems like the more people...
I was present when 50 pounds of Tannerite went off in a station wagon.
Yeah. And
there was a National Geographic crew there.
And they were way too close.
And do you know about this? Mm-hmm. They were way too fucking close. Mm-hmm. And Yeager's like, hey, you got to move all the way back. So they moved all the way back. And he gets back there and he goes, look, parts are going to come off of this car. They can land here. You need to go over there. And they're like, this seems really dangerous. Can you just buy these explosives? And James goes, oh, no. You have to have a credit card to buy this stuff. But they had a lot of it in there. And I guess I don't know if it's a recommendation or a law that you're not supposed to use more than, half pound of it or whatever. Yeah. But the hood of this fucking car came off it's like a real production crew. Like they had cameras on fucking train tracks and shit. They had to move all this shit. And when they lit this off it was a Barrett. It was for Barrett. They were filming this thing. And when they tapped that off, that hood came up off of that fucking car and spun back and landed right where those people were when James told them, hey, you got to move back. Yeah. And then he moved them again. And that fucking hood came all the way back there when that happened.
But that's another, that's kind of that example of something becoming popular and then it being turned. Because, for example, there are still places in the United States where you can go buy dynamite.
Yeah.
There's still places in the United States where you can go buy dynamite. It's a lot more controlled now, but again, it's just what people don't know, right? It's like when people say machine guns are illegal. No, they're not. They're just controlled.
They're very expensive, right?
They're very expensive.
Anybody that could have a suppressor could have a machine gun.
Yes. Yeah,
for the same $200 tax stamp.
It's only a $200 tax stamp.
Is the transfer going quicker now, or does it take a long time to get
the transfer's going a lot faster now?
Even for machine guns?
I don't know about machine guns because machine guns aren't something that's really traded because they have been turned into a commodity.
Well, they've all been bought up by people that don't. Yeah, that's what
guns. I'm saying. They've been turned into a commodity because of that fact. So like usually when you see a machine gun, when you see somebody shooting a machine gun, like we'll use like Royal Range down here because they have a ton of legal machine guns. Those are all manufactured in-house for law enforcement demo purposes.
Now, you can manufacture to have them on your range for rental. I heard the other day also somebody was talking about, he's like, we just made this machine gun and it will be at our range for rental. So are those LEO samples?
If they've manufactured it, they're all LEO samples.
Now that's an SOT, right?
They would be SOTs manufacturing that shit, but they still have to have some sort of letter. I couldn't open a indoor range and then just make a bunch of machine guns and be like, here you go.
Got it.
Now I could open it, like, let's say Elon Musk wanted to sponsor this. I could open an indoor range and buy a bunch of legally transferable machine guns. Those SOT guns.
Now those are $30,000, $100,000,
yes,
$150,000 guns.
Those SOT guns are not legally transferable. So, for example, let's say I'll use Royal Range as an example. They make a 240 Golf. They use it on the range. Blah, 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 blah. They do that, and then the owners decide they're going to shut the range down. They can't.
Yeah, it has
transfer
to be. It has to be destroyed.
They have to destroy it or give it to another SOT. And so when you see the SOT guns, I know there's going to be a bunch of gun nerds on here, but when you see the SOT guns that are actually being transferred within the market, the prices on them are nothing because they're not worth anything because you can't sell them. Whereas if I had a registered Uzi from fucking 86, that's worth a lot of goddamn money.
For guys that want machine guns, what's the lowest cost machine gun?
I think it's like it's
Mac 11 or something.
Yeah, it's the dumb guns it's the dumb guns that people don't really like.
So to have one of those legally, what does that gun cost? Like a real machine gun?
I think they're in the $8,000 to $10,000. So you can have a brass rail or get you I bet a Swedish K is way more expensive. They're pretty expensive. I mean, like a M16 is $30,000 or some shit like that. It's expensive to get into machine guns because while it was super cheap when it started, a lot of rich people saw the writing on the wall and were like, "Hey, that's a commodity. If we hold on to it."
That's what I heard. You have a lot of people that don't even like guns that just have them as an investment, just locked in a safe somewhere, just like artwork.
They're the biggest complainers. If you look at when people talk about like what's going on with the ATF right now, and they're talking about
which is really why they haven't abolished the ATF or all that.
But they look at when people start talking about abolishing,
legalizing
machine guns, it's the machine gun owners who are the fucking headache, because they know that if the NFA gets thrown out, your $130,000 M60 machine gun is now, I mean, it's still gonna be expensive. It's gonna be $5,000 probably, right? It's still gonna be expensive, but it ain't no $130,000. So you wanna. It's kind of like here's a great example. It's like the diamond industry, right?
Oh, bullshit.
Yeah, they're holding
because De Beers owns fucking all of them.
And
they set the market,
and they hold all that shit, all those diamonds and fucking vaults all over Europe that just sit there in order to keep the market value up. And that's kind of the same thing with machine guns.
Man, if an M16 is $30,000, it'd be way cooler to have.
And that's just off the top of my head. I bet they're they could be even more.
It'd be cooler just to have 30 AR-15s fucking consecutively serial numbered.
Yeah, and just because that's the other thing that most people don't. I think the industry has it right. Like the way the industry has panned out is a machine gun. A machine gun is really cool to go shoot one time, a couple of times, whatever. You and your friends are gonna have a bachelor party, go to fucking Battlefield Las Vegas and shoot a M60 machine gun. Owning one would be cool. Like for me, owning one would be cool. It would be cool, but when you think about the cost to feed it, cost to maintain it, semi-automatic was way better.
Bob went to, he's said this a few times. He goes to Drive Tank, right? I think he took the kids out, took his wife, and they were they had I think it was in a helicopter, and they had a minigun, and he got to shoot the minigun, and he's like, it's over in like 3 seconds. Like it's
yeah, that's it.
And he wanted her to shoot it, and she's like, I don't care. He's like, no, you have to shoot this. You got to shoot this. You got to shoot this. And she shot it, and I don't remember whether she loved it or was just kind of indifferent in it, but it's over with. Yeah. And it's like $1,000, and it's over with.
It's over with. That's it. So I think it's one of those things that, again, I get it. If you're fucking rich and you can afford it, you can afford it. But it's also, I mean, it's just one of those things that too expensive, too maintenance intensive,
especially in this market right now. We have a machine gun, a machine gun guy, like a real machine gun dude, coming in, bringing machine guns in at the party. I think there's an MP5 coming. I think I heard there's something 300 Blackouts coming. That's a machine gun.
And chances are, like we'll talk to them when they show up. Chances are those are all SOT guns.
Yeah, I don't know.
They don't own any. My guess is they don't own any really, because you have to look at it like this. Let's say you had an MP5, and I'm just throwing this number out there. Let's say that MP5 was $35,000.
You think that's what they are?
They're probably more. I'm guessing.
I remember seeing them in Shotgun News, but I haven't seen a Shotgun News in 20 years. Well, no, even longer than the last Shotgun News I saw was in San Diego.
But let's just say you had that MP5, right? It's a registered MP5. As long as you don't blow the motherfucker up, you can swap parts out in it forever, right? Would you just give it to booger eaters and be like, here's some magazines, shoot my fucking MP5 for $2 a shot? Or what? You probably wouldn't, because they're going to wear the parts out faster. The value of all you're doing is ticking the value of the gun. So if you have a real one, you want to put it on the shelf, and if you want to make money, you get yourself an SOT and you manufacture them. You convert fucking Turkish guns to full auto, and then you're good to go.
Does Turkey have an MP5 or HK94 things?
Yeah, Turkey for a while. I don't know if they are still anymore, but Turkey was kind of the number one importer of clones, the clone guns, because they had a
good?
They had a real. Turkey was a licensed HK factory within Turkey. So the one I have is it Turkish? I'm pretty sure mine is a Turkey one, and it's awesome. I'd buy another one if I could find one.
Does HK still hate like their civilian customers?
Oh yeah, HK hates their civilian customers.
You think that's real?
Yeah, I bet it's real. I bet it's super real.
I heard there were guys, like when the 416s came out, there were dealers buying real 416s and then just selling the uppers to the civilian market off of the 416s.
Yeah, because you can't get a 416.
But would they pin on to a normal AR lower?
Yeah, they're pinning on a normal AR lower.
So they would,
because I think even Brownells, made a 416 lower receiver because fucking HK's like, bleh, fuck you guys.
So I wonder what happened to all those machine gun lowers that were coming into the United States.
They probably cut them up.
Oh, so they don't even have them on their books anymore.
Yeah, probably. I would, because you think about it. You think about this. They're getting those 416s if they're buying them like military contract, right? They're probably getting those 416s for just crazy, probably $800. Let's say it's $800. They're selling the fucking uppers for $2,500 plus.
Yeah, I heard $3,000.
Yeah, $3,000. You know, $2,500, $3,000 plus. The fucking lower receiver, just cut that. You know, I mean, in theory, they could take all the guts out of it and sell the guts, and then you just cut the serial number up and.
So,
because even the stocks, like you could find the 416 stock, so they're basically stripping those guns down, destroying the serial number, and then selling the parts and making a fucking killing.
are they not just normal AR-15 parts that are stamped HK, or is there something different about
there's
them?
a little bit of
German magic?
It's a little bit of, you know, they got to sprinkle their shit on there. It's a little different. Like the stock, you know, the 416 stock's different than a regular M4 stock.
When it came time to destroy those lowers,
yeah.
Does an ATF agent have to be present when that happens? Or
No, not when they destroy them, but they have to have all the paperwork showing that they destroyed them.
Holy shit, dude! I would think you'd want to keep them fucking cut up, ruined pieces, just taped together in a 55-gallon drum in case anybody.
I don't know what the legality of it is, because like I talked to Billy Stojak about that one time. We were talking about having a company that goes and actually does that, goes to police departments and cuts up their guns that they can't have. And he told me what he's like, you do a picture of the gun before it's cut up, document the serial numbers, picture of the gun after it's cut up, and then he's like, I would just cut out where the serial number was, so cut that piece out and put it in the bag with and just file it. Because again, it's one of those things where you're saying that the thing was destroyed. You just have to have documentation that it was actually destroyed. And the crazy shit is, like, the way the regulation is, I don't know what it is now, but just a couple of years ago, like, they would saw cut those things up. So you get your lower receiver and saw cut those things up the way the ATF tells you to. And then they were selling those motherfuckers on Gunbroker.
And guys were able to
guys were putting them fucking back together. So, I mean, it's a mad scientist world out there. I would, honestly, to me, and I know all you machinists out there are going to be like, no. I would think that it would just be easier to just make one from scratch, right? Like when I see how a fucking AR-15 lower receiver's made, I'm like,
especially nowadays where you don't have to do this and do this and do this. Like now it's just a program you put in that motherfucker.
I get you might want to save, because that's what a lot of guys do. Is it's just as nerdy as collecting Star Wars figures. Is I get you want to save that legit Colt, whatever serial number, government, blah blah blah. I get that they want to save that, and that's why they're doing it. But the lasers are so good now that you could just fake
I would say that
you could fake the funk.
I would say that nobody's house has been fucking doors been kicked in and their dogs have been shot in the middle of the night over Star Wars figures, but I'll bet there's a case someplace.
I'm sure.
ATF went after some Star Wars figures.
I bet there was. I bet there is.
Dude, that's all scary shit.
It was customs enforcement.
You ever heard the book Enemies Foreign and Domestic?
Yeah.
And for people that don't know, Matthew Bracken wrote that book, and in the first book, there's 3 of them. In the first book, there was some ATF agents that were going around and hitting up in the middle of the night doing raids on legal machine gun owners, and they would take the machine guns, kill the owners, like just shoot them basically in bed or getting out of bed, and then burn the house down. So they would find the house, find all these weapons, but the machine guns were missing from the arson, and then they would take those machine guns and use them in crimes. And these were like rogue ATF agents, is how the story goes. And they would go to a mosque and shoot up a mosque, and then they would go to a synagogue and shoot up a synagogue, and they were trying to start this whole race war between the religions. And if you haven't read the book, great series of books. It's on audiobooks. If you just like that kind of stuff, you should definitely check that out. Book 1 opens up with a dude launching with I think he had an SKS and a crazy bipod, but he's launching bullets lobbing them into a stadium, and he's basically like an MK Ultra patsy, and they have it all tied up. This assassin, but it's worth reading that series of books if you read books like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about like when they were busting all the cartel guys, or when they were busting all the not cartel guys, but the gun stores for all the Fast and Furious shit, and then they find the senior ATF agent's gun in one of the known cartel's dresser drawers, and he's like, "I sold it." What? It's just I don't know. I don't believe the government does anything efficiently or very well at all.
How much do you think is actually the opposite of that, though? How much is actually malicious?
Oh, the entire Fast and Furious program was malicious.
So how much of the ATF do you think was involved in that? Because tons of those guns came back across. I mean, they're still dealing with it right now, I think.
I mean, how many were... Because you have... The issue is you have guys that are actually... So that would have been... the reality is the Fast and Furious program would have been very compartmentalized, because you wouldn't want the... Which they didn't, because it started way back in Bush era. You wouldn't want the public to know you were doing that.
So it started in Bush. It was not Obama?
No, it started in Bush. It didn't get out of hand till Obama. So
do you think they were aware of it, Bush and Obama?
Oh yeah, they definitely were aware of it. You had to have presidential authority to move U.S. weapons into a foreign country. They had to have been aware of it. This wasn't something that the ATF just cooked up and started doing it. They had to have presidential authority to do that shit. Because you could have... The reality of it, like if the program has been exposed, so the program has been exposed, that could have actually been a pretense for war. If Mexico really... if Mexico was as crazy as the United States, that would have been a pretense for war. If the Mexican government... Let's just say guns were illegal in the United States, and the Mexican government was allowing their gun stores to sell guns to known criminals from America and bring them over into America by the fucking hundreds of thousands to include ammunition to help foster a revolution within them. That would have been a pretense for war. We would have fucking nuked goddamn Mexico for that shit.
Have you heard that there's only one gun store?
Yeah, there's only one gun store
in all of Mexico.
Yeah, one gun store. Yeah, and you basically have to have like a presidential decree to get guns.
That's wild.
Here's the thing. The reality is...
Don't you feel like there's guns everywhere in Mexico? Like anywhere you could just go into any residence in Mexico, or you could just meet some... No?
No, if you're a resident... So if it's just you and me, we don't have guns.
In Mexico?
We don't have guns.
They're just not readily available?
They're readily... I would say this, that guns are more readily available in Mexico than they are here in the United States. It's just readily available to who, right? So to who? The cartels have the money. The cartels have the money to get the guns. The cartels have M250 cals.
On trucks and lines.
They didn't get that from a gun store in Laredo. They got that from federal Mexican troops, right? That when you see them all fucking decked out in all that kit and the armor, and they didn't get that from here. They got that from there because they have the money to buy the shit.
You think they bought that from the Mexican government, the cartels, or do you think they took it from them?
Yeah, not bought from the Mexican government, but again, kind of that thing that I talk about. There's a fucking Mexican colonel somewhere that's issuing guns out the back of the armory. That's all it is, because there's too much money involved. It's no different than what happened here. The reason why Fast and Furious was... There was a couple of reasons why Fast and Furious was successful. Meaning if I was going to buy an AK-47... Let's say I'm going to buy an AK-47 and then sneak it across the border for the cartel. If I bought an AK-47 here for... I don't know, let's go back to Bush years. If I bought an AK-47 for $450... and then snuck it across the border, and the cartel was like, here's your $450, they wouldn't have any guns, right? The issue is they made it so lucrative that people were buying fucking $400 AKs, taking them across the border and getting $1,200. It has to be lucrative, right? And so that's all it is. It's just a financial transaction, and the cartels had the money to do it.
And the United States government or some entity of the United States government did that to fund projects, or just because it was so lucrative, or why did they do it?
Oh, well, everything always starts with I don't want to say, okay, Fast and Furious, I am sure that when Fast and Furious was presented, it was a good idea. Like, they were like, this is a great idea. They're taking the gun. So if you just think about it, right? You have U.S. citizens, or close to U.S. citizens, straw purchasing firearms, because it would have been a straw purchase, purchasing firearms, and then taking across the border and selling them to cartel members. Okay, ATF, probably, some good agents are out there, and they're working these cases, and they're like, hey, all these fucking gun stores are selling all these damn guns, and they're just ending up across the border. I am sure that somebody in the ATF at that time went like this, hey, it'd be a great idea if we could figure out where those guns were going once they got across the border. So why don't we help get those guns across the border, and we'll put trackers in them, and then we can figure out where they're all going. Because that's what they did. They actually put trackers in guns that went across the border so they could track and figure out where they were ending up. But the problem is our government is so fucking... Our government's just like the internet, in the sense that they started this program, and they went like this with their phones, and then they forgot that the motherfucking program was even running, and then 100,000 guns later, they're like, oh shit, yeah, and we weren't even fucking and we weren't even tracking where the guns were going anyways, right? It becomes one of those things where it's like, it's like welfare checks. How many are really for welfare?
There was an FBI agent that got caught up in that. I believe James knew this man. He had sold a Barrett to another private party, 100% legally, and he had documented when he sold it, right? So he had a ledger. He bought guns, traded them, bought other guns, and there was quite a bit of this. And they actually ended up arresting him, and they actually prosecuted him for having a gun business without a license. And they said he had a gun business because he documented who he sold these guns to. And he said, of course I documented who I sold the guns to, because if they ever came up in a crime, I would know where this gun went. And I think he did a year and a day. I think that's what they do in the feds. They do a year and a day so that you don't stay in local custody. That puts you into federal prison. James testified on his behalf, and they had a bunch of text messages and stuff. And he's like, what does this text message say? And James cussed in federal court over what it was. He called him an ass clown or something. And it was a big to-do over this. But I want to say his name was Shipley, not the same Shipley that is famous now, but I believe he was an FBI agent. And I believe that gun he sold it to somebody, and then it somehow got to Mexico, came back across the United States border, and was used in a crime someplace years later. But I believe that was the case. I remember hearing about that. I remember reading it as it was happening years ago. But it's just bizarre how they'll eat their own over this shit.
The reality is they're not eating their own. They're not eating their own. If he was an FBI agent, and if he's an FBI agent, and he was buying and selling guns, so let's say he was, again, because I don't know the extent of the buying and selling. Okay, so that really might be the deal. Is not that he kept records, is it that he was doing it a lot? There's actually that point where you're crossing over where, yeah, you say you're not dealing, but the reality is the numbers don't placate it out, right? But when you say they're eating their own, they're not, because he's an outsider
from the ATF.
Meaning what I'm saying is from the FBI.
Because he's a gun
Because he's a
enthusiast.
gun guy. So he's an outsider. Basically, the way you have to look at it like this, the way the FBI would look at it is they're just cutting off a little cancer. Right? He's an agent. He's a cancerous agent because he's all pro gun. Let's cut that off. That's why you have the FBI that you have now, because
I think they cut a lot of that off during 2019. All those guys they pushed out that wouldn't take
that's what I'm saying. So they don't look at it as eating their own.
So what about Contra rebels and the Contras? That's who we brought up, right? They flew them into Arkansas when Clinton was the governor there, or the whatever.
Yeah, Contras. Yeah, none of them went to fight. They all stayed here.
They did.
Yeah. Yeah, they lost them all.
And they're just out in the
wild
ecosystem.
Yeah, there's you probably eat Mexican food at a restaurant that one of those Contras opened up.
And none of them flew back.
None of them flew back.
Did we think they flew back?
No, that was part of that. That was part of that program. That's why they stopped. So
this was Oliver North, right? And this was the whole hearing.
Well, it was all part of that. Yeah, it was some of it was Oliver North, but so they get the idea that we're gonna train these we gotta train these Contra rebels, right?
Who did we want them to overthrow?
Was that the Sandinistas? Guys, it's been a long time since I Contra rebelled. It would have been Nicaragua. It would have been the Sandinistas. This is in the 80s. This is way back in the 80s. And so because we're Americans and we're not,
we should ask the fat electrician. I'm sure he's already done this.
He's already done this. But anyways, what ended up happening when you look at that program is they're like, hey, we need these rebels. We need to train them. Why don't we just bring them to the United States? We'll bring some special forces guys there. They'll train them up, and then we'll ship them back.
What movie was this? It was about the cocaine guy, right?
It's the cocaine guy. And we'll ship them back.
Was that Matthew McConaughey?
No, it's Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
Well, what ends up happening is they bring these guys to America to train them to go fight in Nicaragua. Now, you're a South American dude that is living in some shithole Nicaraguan town, drinking water out of mud puddles, and they bring you to the United States, and they want to train you to go back there. What are you going to do? You're going to just fucking... I got to take a leak. I got to take a leak. And that's what happened. Those guys just started disappearing. That's why Oliver North, they had to, and this is 7 Special Forces guys. That's why Special Forces guys had to go to Nicaragua and train Nicaraguans how to fight. So they'd stop fucking running down to Florida or wherever the fuck they were taking off to.
Was that part of all the JTF-6 stuff?
No, it wasn't part of JTF-6.
That was long before JTF-6?
That was long before JTF-6. Yeah, way long before JTF-6. But
so what did they burn Oliver North for?
Protecting the President of the United States.
And he did. He took the fall instead of...
Yeah, he took the fall. He took the fall for...
Was that Reagan?
Reagan, yeah. He took the fall for Reagan. So basically what they were doing is they were funneling money. They were using arms, shipments, and sales to funnel money to the Nicaraguans to be able to fight the Sandinistas. I'm pretty sure it was Sandinistas, guys.
What did we care?
Because it was a covert operation that wasn't sanctioned by Congress.
But I mean, what were they doing that we wanted them to stop? Or was this just about overthrowing the government? Did
it was
they
just
have
about
resources?
it was just about overthrowing a communist. Nicaragua was a communist country at the time. They still may be. I don't know. But Nicaragua was a communist country. It was all part of that. We have to stop the global spread of communism around the world. And Nicaragua was one of those places that we were trying to overthrow the government so we could, instill some dictator that would be more ruthless than the communists, but we'd be able to get all our bananas for a good price.
Were bananas coming from there?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what we import from Nicaragua. I think we did get bananas from Nicaragua.
If you've never heard of the Banana Wars, you should actually watch some. I think what's that dude's Tommy Harris? There's a YouTube channel, and this dude just does fucking great, hour-long documentaries on crazy shit that the CIA has done, and one of them's on the Banana Wars. It's insane.
Anyway, so that's kind of the gist of it. Basically, Oliver North was selling arms to Iran in order to...
Directed by Reagan.
In order to get cash. Because again,
Congress wouldn't fund this, so they needed a budget.
We're funding a war without money that doesn't exist. So when you see the Nicolas Cage movie. What's the
Yeah, God of War.
God of War? The general at the end that shows up. That's Oliver North. That's Oliver North who shows up and is like, national security, bro.
How well taken care of do you think he was for taking that fall? He's still alive, right? He's still present.
Yeah, Ollie's still alive. I don't know if I don't know if Oliver North was like.
There's
Okay,
not a meeting on the side like, hey, take this fall. We'll take care of you.
I'm sure there was a meeting. I'm sure that there was not. This is what I think. Okay, this is what I think. I don't know this to be true, but Marine Corps officers were different back then. They were different back then. Kind of not the same. There's some that are like this, but for the majority, they're not anymore. I think that the meeting was like this. The president is exposed. You're going to have to take the fall. And I think because of who he was and because of the ideas that were instilled in that generation of officers' heads,
service to God and country,
that he was like, yeah, of course I'm going to protect the president of the United States. That's the oath I swore. That's my oath of allegiance. I'm going to protect the United States, or protect the president of the United States. And
would he have been at the Pentagon at this point?
Yeah, he was operating all out of the Pentagon. So, the reality is, when Oliver North started doing the Contra stuff, he was a cutout. Meaning I'm sure that the commandant, like if the commandant of the Marine Corps is looking at, where are all my colonels? Oh, Ollie's still at the Pentagon, but he didn't have a fucking office in the Pentagon. He's doing all cutout shit.
So he's literally in the field.
Yeah, he's literally just out there fucking working deals.
Were you ever occupy the same space he did? Were you ever anywhere where he spoke or anything?
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm sure that we had a visit from Ollie in Iraq. I'm pretty sure. Maybe not though. I don't know. Outside of that, no. I don't have personal knowledge of him outside of the hearings and shit. Part of the reason why I joined the Marine Corps.
Man, I'm so young I don't remember them.
Oh.
I remember seeing them hearing it every day on TV and shit, but not really paying any attention to it.
Yeah, because that's some of the stink too. Like, when he's testifying in front of Congress, he's wearing his uniform.
Mm-hmm.
When he was at the Pentagon, Ollie was famous for not ever having his uniform on because he was doing cutout shit. Right? You can't go visit the Ayatollah of rock and roll in Iran in your Marine Corps uniform.
Got it. All right, it's back on.
Back on. Let's talk about this real quick because I get text messages from the Republican Party all the time, and it'll be like,
"Oh, damn, Donald Trump messages me all the time."
direct. But
I don't even take fucking text messages. Like I don't even send text messages.
For the last election, I got one from Joe Biden, and it was like,
Jumping the pressure.
Blah 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 blah. I really need your help, and I kind of didn't answer it. And then one day I'm like, you know what? I'm like, so I send a message to it. I'm like, hey Joe, how you doing? I hope you're doing okay.
Send nudes.
And then like at Thanksgiving, I'm like, Joe, happy Thanksgiving. I'm so glad to hear. But Joe never responded.
So nobody was monitoring that.
No, it was dead, just like him.
Somebody, this dude I knew that did some handyman work up at the old building. He was telling me that Gibson guitar. He's like, yeah, he sends me pictures every day of the new guitar he made, and I'm like,
Gibson.
Really? Yeah, Gibson, old man Gibson or whatever. And he goes, yeah. I go, where are you seeing these at? Like, where do you see these? And he shows me, and it's on Facebook. And I go, that's not him, right? He's like, nope, it's him. I talked to him. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I just kind of left it there. But he was believing that the dude who owns Gibson Guitar was sending him photos every day. I'm like, do you own a Gibson guitar? Like, have you ever met him? But he thought that's how Facebook worked. He thought was really...
That's really how it was supposed to work. A social network where like-minded people could get together and share ideas.
Yeah, did you see the government just asked for authorization to use AI for making deep fakes with AI, but they want congressional approval to do this. Did you see all this shit? Came out a couple days ago. Did Tim Pool just announce that he's shutting his show down? Like,
I think so.
I watched the thing where he said that. He's like, I'm married. My wife is pregnant. We're having a child. And I never heard him say I'm stopping the show or anything anything like that. I just heard him say that we're gonna take on sponsors and there's gonna be ads in the show. And then this morning, all of a sudden, I see all these video channels I've never seen talking about Tim Pool's not going to be on the show anymore. And like, that's not what I heard. Like, I listened to that night when he did it. Millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to do the show anymore.
Like millions of dollars. No, but no, not that. What I'm going to say is
somebody owns that show.
It's got to be worth a lot of money. And I would assume it would be like
that show's making millions a month. He's had different co-hosts on over the years, and I've watched the breakdowns on that. And then Jeremy from the Quartering, he got in there and he's like, "Well, here's what I'm making. He's making way more, and just off of the numbers that I make,
that's what I'm saying. It would be, it would. I think it would be weird if he was just. It would be like if tomorrow Grand Thumb came out and said, "I'm not going to do gun stuff anymore. It's just going to be knitting." You'd be like, I would assume that there was something else going on. So same thing. What would be the reason for Tim Pool to fucking just pull the plug? It would have to be,
and there's gotta be.
It would never be. My wife's having a baby. I got to concentrate on this baby thing.
It'd be like me. I'm never gonna sew anything again. How long is that gonna fucking last?
I wouldn't. I mean, the reality is,
it'd be like the world-class piano player not being able to like walk past a piano and not sit down. Who the fuck was playing the piano, by the way? Who was that?
Oh, just a random volunteer.
That was just a dude in the building just playing that fucking piano.
You can't really tell from the. You can't really.
I thought you were standing upstairs.
You can't really tell from the picture, but it was one of Brando's dudes.
He had tattoos on his forehead.
He had tattoos on his head. He was covered in tattoos. It was that. So, anyways, for people who don't know, I spent last couple of days I've been in the hospital with my son, and the hospital is River Bend. It's a Christian hospital. Or anyways, it's River Bend Hospital, Eugene, Oregon. Probably the nicest hospital I've ever been into my life. The caregivers, the nurses there, off the chart good. Like, I can't believe how much care they were giving him as far as just it was pretty awesome. But
like they were actually there to help him.
Yeah, they were actually there to help him. And anyways, but the lobby of this place looks like if Elon Musk and Bezos were going to go hunting somewhere, like this would be the cabin they'd be in. It'd be a huge fireplace in the center. But that grand piano's in the corner,
like a Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah, that grand piano's in the corner, and it had velvet ropes around it. You can see from the video, and so I thought it was just
we were getting velvet ropes.
Yeah, I thought it was just kind of like a thing. It was just a little thing in the corner.
Here, but you peasants can't touch this
because the ropes were there. I'm like, you peasants can't touch it. And then I was going to the cafeteria, and some lady was playing it, and I'm like, oh, I guess they must have times. And so I go down and I look, they have a little sheet there, and it's like, you can volunteer to play. This is the type of music you have to play, and it has to be approved. But there was no times. And so I saw that guy playing, and he was playing really good. And I'm like, I want to record this. And so I was in a different spot, and I started recording it, but you could just hear everybody talking and walking and shit. And I'm like, this is kind of weird. You've got this guy down there playing this piano, and he's playing it really good, and nobody in the room even knows he's there. Like, they just don't they're walking, there's because those stairs where I was on those stairs, they'll just stomp down those stairs, and everybody's wearing their damn nurse clogs, and so I went down to that spot where I was videotaping, and there's, you don't see it, but it's a teaching hospital also, so there's students there. These 5 students come clamoring out of the double doors up top. They're making noise, they're bullshitting back and forth and shit, and they're walking. And I'm like this recording, and I'm looking right at them, and they all see me. They look at me, and then they look down at the guy playing the piano, and then they look at me, and then they all just stop. And they're just standing there looking at me while I'm recording this thing. And I'm like, oh, somebody finally noticed that this dude is playing the piano. And then you see a doctor. She stomps down this side, stomps past the piano, and then stomps up the stairs to where the students are standing. And she's like, what are you doing? Come with me. And then they all stomp away.
Weird.
Yeah. It was weird. It was a weird experience because it was like nobody noticed that guy was playing the piano, or, that any of them are playing the piano. I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. You see pianos places, and when people try to touch them, they're like, you can't touch the piano. But once they realize that the person touching the piano can actually play the piano, then it's all okay. You can touch the piano. Can you damage a piano?
I mean, you can knock it out of tune.
But not just from playing it shitty.
I mean, I think if you get a little kid on there who wants to do chopsticks, yeah, they can damage it.
I mean, if you hit it hard enough, like the keys, if you're slamming on it, it'll knock it out of like the key. And
but the way I looked at it wasn't like, when you see those videos where the guy walks over to the piano in the mall and he just sits down and starts playing the piano and everybody stops and they're looking at him and they're recording it and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe it was nothing like that. It was literally, even the people, like it was like a lounge area down there. And even the people that were down there were totally in a different world. I only saw one other person that was like, oh my God, they're playing the piano.
Maybe they're just used to it.
Or that's
maybe,
what I'm saying.
Or maybe they're just having,
that,
maybe a lot of people at the hospital are just having, they're having a bad day.
I am sure that as far as the staff is concerned, that's just a thing. It's like the doorbell.
Just tune it out.
Yeah, they just tune it out. And that's what I thought was interesting, is how many people were just tuning this thing out that's right there in the middle of the hospital.
When you said you think you might have,
because I actually only because I'll forget about it. Because I actually was thinking when I saw it earlier, because I saw the lounge area or the entrance, and I'm like, this seems like a lot of money on something that is not really hospital function. And then I saw the piano, and I go, in my head, I was like, is that really a good use of hospital resources? So that's kind of why I focused in on the thing, because I was like, they have these things.
Having the piano there?
Yeah, they have these things, but
chances are a local store placed that thing
probably there. And then all the players are volunteers, so
like Yamaha probably placed that thing in there.
Yeah.
So like a concert grand or whatever.
Yeah. Anyways, that's my.
So you said you might have saw Oliver North when you were in Iraq. Who's the most memorable person?
Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris.
Yeah, Chuck Norris.
Out of everyone.
Yeah, because Chuck Norris got out of the helicopter whenever a VIP is going anywhere, they want to put on their best suit, right? They want to put their best front up for whoever the VIP is. And Chuck Norris, he had the sleeves he had the sleeves half rolled. He didn't have his fucking boots bloused. He was a shitbird Lance Corporal getting out of that helicopter.
He's wearing a BDU.
Yeah, he was wearing Desert Marpat. And he's like a shitbird Lance Corporal getting out of the helicopter. And then he immediately comes over. And I don't know why the sniper platoon was out there, but he immediately comes over and he's like, oh, it's so nice to be over here with you guys. I hate hanging out with those officers. And maybe that was his shtick that he did every time. But he seemed very genuine. Like when our doc was like, I'll bet you can't kick high anymore. He kicked him in the head.
He really kicked him in the head? Like,
yeah, but I don't know why my corpsman was such a he must have been a sadomasochist, because he was also like, I bet you can't choke me out, and Chuck choked his ass out. Oh man!
And Chuck Norris kicked him in the head.
Yeah, and kicked him in the head. We had a
actual kicked him in the head.
Yeah, I mean he
or Chuck just Norris, snapped up and barely
Chuck
tapped
Norris
him.
tapped him, but and then he was posing. Basically, he showed up, and then you could have a picture taken with Chuck. And so I had the whole platoon go up there, and the whole platoon's up there, and I had a Mark 11, and I'm like, Chuck, you can hold this in the picture. And he's like, really? I can really hold that? I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, Chuck, you hold that Mark 11. And so we held the Mark 11, and when we do the turnovers, so for those of you who don't know, most of the kit, a lot of the kit, not all of it, but a lot of the kit stays in country, and you just hand it over to the next platoon, right? And so, yeah, as a platoon sergeant, you have to fucking do all the cards out on it, and I give you an ECR card that says you've taken possession of whatever it is, and then you open the thing and do an inventory of it. It's standard. And we're doing the Mark 11s, and we get to that one, and I put a picture of Chuck Norris in the case, and I open it up, and there's this fucking Chuck Norris picture in there, and the platoon sergeant's like, "What's up with that?" I'm like, I do the classic look around, like, I go, "Hey, you're not going to believe me when I tell you this." And he's like, "What?" I go, "Man, Chuck Norris flew out here." He's like, "Yeah, I know. I go, "Yeah, Chuck Norris flew out here and took pictures with all the platoons, right?" And he's like, yeah. "Was it cool?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's not the thing." I go, "I let Chuck Norris hold this rifle in the picture. That's him holding this Mark 11 in the picture." And he's like, yeah. "Is that what it is?" And I'm like, "That's not the thing." I go, "After Chuck left, no matter where this rifle went, it killed somebody. This rifle killed more Hajis than any other rifle we have." And I go, "I don't know why, but this is the gun." And they were like fighting over who gets to carry the Chuck Norris rifle.
Did it continue?
John, I thought you knew me better than that. I made that entire story up.
That didn't really you didn't really put a picture in there with it?
No, I did. I put the picture. All that happened. Meaning everything that I just told you happened, except for the gun going out and killing a bunch of people.
Right, but whoever inherited it from then,
whoever
did they kill a lot of people?
I don't know if they did or not. I never heard back from those guys. It's not like when you do a changeover with another platoon, you don't become instant pen pals. That's it. I never saw.
You don't have like a Facebook group?
No, I never saw any of those guys again. But yeah, I hope it went out. It had a great legacy of. I hope that they were like when they turned it over, they were like, "Yeah, this rifle's killed so many. It's like the Black Plague." I hope they turned it over, even if it didn't. That's the way you got to do it. I hope there's a fucking Iraqi right now with a Mark 11 with a big ass poster of Chuck Norris behind him and shit.
Where do you think those rifles are?
In Iraq, yeah.
They just got
left behind.
What is the Mark 11?
That's the beefed up. So it's a beefed up SR-25.
Okay.
The Reed Knight gun. Yeah. So the Mark 11 was a I don't want to say it was a stopgap, but it was a fill for the war, right? So we wanted a semi-automatic kind of sniper rifle, and Reed Knight they came out with the Mark 11, and the Marine Corps bought 400 of them, I believe. There were some problems with it. there was some problems with the gun, and that's how we ended up with the S110s. The S110s replaced the Mark 11s.
What is an S110?
Another fucking beefed up Reed Knight gun. Yeah.
Appearance-wise, they look the same?
No. Appearance-wise, they're kind of a different animal. They're different animals. They definitely, you can, if you look at those guns, you can definitely see the evolution that Knight's Armament did in that area. But I mean, for what it was a good stopgap. So it was better than the M14s, and that's what the Army was trying to butter together and make more guns. So it was better than the M14s, but I wouldn't let my snipers carry it.
Where would you use that gun why would you use that in place of an M40? Just because you can fire faster follow-up shots?
Yeah, faster follow-up shots.
And it doesn't have to be as accurate because you're not rescuing. There's no hostages. You're shooting bad guys no matter what's downrange, really, right?
Yeah. When you're talking about sniper rifles, just in general, from a scout sniper perspective, the hostage rescue is never a thing that is a consideration. It's not a consideration when they're making the M40s. That's strictly an SOTG, special missions type of thing that you're trying to figure out.
So when you talk the difference between night vision and thermal, everybody's like, thermal's awesome, but you can't identify targets. You have to have night vision to identify targets.
Not true.
Also very not true for military because everybody downrange is a potential target. and you're just going to have rules of engagement, right? Through night vision, we can see there is a person there, and you can see whether he is holding a.
Through night vision, you can most of the time if you can accurately engage it, meaning if the system you have on your weapon, whether it's an UNS, a Unerdal, a fucking whatever, not a Unerdal. Damn, I can't believe I forgot that damn scope. It doesn't matter what the system is. Usually, if you can identify the threat, then that threat is within the capability of the system, anyways. So, for example, when we were fucking around with the God, I can't think of the name of that stupid night vision device that attached to the top of the M40.
Like a clip-on kind of.
Yeah. God, what? Man, I can't believe I forgot the name of it. Anyways,
Simrad.
Yeah, the Simrads. When you're doing with the Simrad on a good moonlit night, if you can identify the target at 600 yards, then there's a good chance you can also shoot it.
What is considered identifying the target?
Being able to recognize that it's a real target. The systems are a lot better now, but I mean now, thermal's going to give you a better target engagement than night vision does now. So, meaning you're going to see more. I'm tangled. You're going to see more. You got all these wires.
How does that even happen?
This is the Bluetooth era. I don't know why we got all these cables and shit. Yeah, so, I don't know where we're going with that, but usually if you can see it, you can hit it. Now, there are thermals now. There are thermals now that are out there, and maybe some night vision devices that they can see it and you can't really hit it with carried firearms, right? So there are some stuff that you could see it and not be able to hit it, but for the most part, the systems that are going on the weapons kind of lag a little bit behind of how far you could actually shoot them.
Got it.
Yeah. So. What?
Nothing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
okay, so elections in a few days here.
11 days, right? Is it 11 days?
I think it's 11 days.
11 days?
So Trump wins.
Trump wins.
And then you have 3 months until they step down and give Trump the White House. Are they going to step down if Trump wins?
Yes.
Think so?
Yeah. I think that's the plan all along.
So have you heard all this stuff about authorization to use military personnel against civilians? You've seen all this over the last couple of weeks. You know who S2 Underground is, YouTube channel?
Yeah.
He had an interesting take on it. He thinks it's so that they can actually use drones that are grounded right now because they can carry armaments, right? So they can't be used inside the United States.
What?
So by this authorization, it lets them use the equipment even without being armed. It allows them to fly this stuff.
That's not true.
No?
No, they you remember the Orange County Sheriff's deputy that went nuts a while back and threatened to kill a bunch of people, and they chased him in the woods and all over Nevada, got in a big gunfight, dropped one of his guns and suppressor on the road. It was Fish and Game that actually started the gunfight with him. What was that guy's name?
I don't remember. I remember hearing a little bit about it and then not hearing anything more about it.
They trapped him in a basement and then burned him to death. Yeah. Yeah. Well, they use military drones to look for his ass. There's kind of this, I don't know if it's justified or not, this idea that the Department of Defense, or that
can't be used against U.S. citizens,
that they can't spy on U.S. citizens, that they can't, that shit went out the window a long time ago.
Yeah, Patriot Act.
That shit went out the window a long time ago. So that's kind of the same thing with that's kind of the same thing when they talk about use of force, right? We're talking about use of force. In theory, after 9/11, all National Guard units were federalized. They're all part of the Department of Defense now. So even a National Guard unit would fall under those guidelines. Can a National Guard unit, can a governor, do you think a governor has more authority? A governor has more authority to use force against its citizens than the federal government? No. I mean, you know, the precedent, the Marine, I don't know if, I can't say it was the Marine Corps, because again, if you just look at history, the federal government has used U.S. troops against citizens. They do it all the time. I mean, you know, they're not doing it on a regular. Some serious shit has to happen, or a perceived serious shit, but they use, you know, they sent a battalion of Marines into fucking Los Angeles with bullets. We were given authorization to shoot people. We did shoot people. Well, again, where's the, you know, where is the written letter? They don't need a written letter, guys. What ends up happening is the same thing that happened when the same thing that happened when you think about all the hoopla about torture, right? The president of the United States, they have a whole host of lawyers. And those lawyers look at things, they look at the letter of the law and they go, well, it doesn't say you can't do this. So you can do that. Don't get caught. And then they do it. It's no different than, you know, the reason, that's the reason why they were, that's the reason why they were hyping up. They were hyping up anybody carrying guns in this last event. The reason why they were hyping that up and making it out to be something bigger than it really was is so they can now bring in federal troops that are armed.
What's the last event we're talking about?
The last hurricane.
Got it.
Milton and Mildew and whoever.
North Carolina.
Yeah,
and East
North Carolina. So that's why they were like, oh God, our militias roaming the fucking woods, and oh, they're gonna fucking beat up all the FEMA. The reason why you heard any of that is so when they went, hey, we're gonna send the Marine Corps down to North Carolina fully armed to the teeth to protect these aid workers. You know, the white neighborhoods are gonna be like, yay. Yay, I'm glad you did that. So that's all. It's just, you know, the rewriting of this is just to cover their asses anyways. It doesn't matter what, the only thing that they are authorized to do anyways is what falls within the Constitution. If you're not going to allow, if you as a citizen are not going to allow them to do anything that falls outside the Constitution, then they're not going to do it. But again, this is that thing when people talk about it's a slippery slope. They're not sliding. What they're doing is taking steps necessary to get to the place that they want to go. They just take little steps and then they look around. And if nobody says anything, they take another step and another step. And if they get to a step and they're like, you don't have that fucking authorization. What the fuck you mean you've been doing it for the last 10 years? Then they march Oliver North out and he testifies in front of Congress and they're like, bad, Ollie, you're out. But they're still standing on the same step because they've set the precedent already. They've set that precedent. So it doesn't matter.
Where do you think they want to go?
Oh, total control. They want fiefdoms. They want, the reality is the people in power, they want fucking serfs and they want to be able to go to fucking,
like China.
They want to go to Disneyland and nobody be there except the people that are serving them. That's what they want. That's what the government wants. They want servitude. That's all it's about, is servitude. So what are you going to, I mean, you know, if 20 years from now, everybody's in chains, what are you going to do about it? Nothing, because you'll be in chains. Won't matter. So, I don't know, take that with a grain of salt. That's what it's all about. It's about servitude. Like if you think about somebody that, if you woke up tomorrow and you said, you know what I want to do? I want to be more self-sufficient and less reliant on the government. And you're like, I want to be more self-sufficient and less reliant on the government, which means I'm going to be less of a tax burden. I'm going to be less of a problem for regular people because I'm being more self-reliant.
Less controllable though.
There's everything. There's a million things in the way of you becoming self-reliant, and it's all government. That's all. It's all government. It's like when they say, you know, I don't know. You're a prepper because you have you're some extreme individual because you have food in your basement. The federal government tells you should have food in your basement. The fucking FEMA, go on their website. They tell you should have food in your basement. Who's the other one too? There's 3 websites you can go to right now and look up how much food should I have in my basement, and they tell you should have fucking food in your basement. But then again, if you become the enemy of the state because you have too many eggs, you know, it's all bullshit.
Yeah, I think it's up to 90 days. They say now.
Yeah, I think it is up to 90 days.
What do the Mormons say? LDS? I think they said 2 years. I think.
Yeah, but I mean, they look at it differently. They're using their food, so.
Some of it. I mean, I remember as a kid going into Mormons' houses, and their mattresses were on top of 5-gallon buckets.
Yeah.
Even like the parents in the parents' bedroom, they had like a skirt around it, but there were 5-gallon buckets of food under there that the bed was on.
Because you're responsible, right?
Yeah.
You need to be responsible for your family.
Yeah, they had their canneries and everything, yeah.
Not the government.
Yeah, the government wants you involved for sure. All right, you ready to cut off of this and we'll go do Patreon?
Let's go do Patreon. Do we have any questions?
We do.
How many? How many?
We'll know in a minute.
How many?
I don't know.
How many? Just do it. Do it.
Let's go 7.
Do it. Okay.
7's not enough. We're not doing the show for 7.
We're not doing it for 7?
No.
What about 8?
There's got to be at least 12.
12.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll just accumulate them otherwise.
Well, you'll find that out in episode 92 when we discuss whether or not there were 12
If you're
questions.
a Patreon member, you will know.
Yeah,
you
you'll
already
know.
have seen it. All right, guys. Thanks for participating here. We will see you guys next week. Hold on. I got this.
Is that new?
Newish. He's playing at the party.
Oh, you didn't do a party thing.
December 7th, SOE Compound Party. Little White's playing. Supreme Lyrics playing. We got a bunch of comedians coming in. Giant bonfire. Machine guns. Vendors. All kinds of cool stuff going on.
Yeah,
So,
Brandle's going to be mixing kamikazes in the parking lot. So if you want to get a kamikaze, see Brandle.
What is a kamikaze? Isn't that when you go to the soda fountain at 7-Eleven and you put some of every...
No, that's a suicide.
Suicide.
That's a suicide. Kamikaze is a special drink.
Brandle's like a suicide boy. He's got all the tattoos and stuff.
I just gotta not shower for.
Are those girls around? Suicide girls?
I don't think that's a thing.
That's still a thing? Because they all went to OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Anyways, December 7th.
December 7th.
41.
The day that will live in infamy.
Yeah. Oh, the party that's going to live in infamy.
Well, they wanted to say that, and I vetoed it.
Why?
I don't know. We should have went with it, shouldn't we?
Yeah, you should have. You should have
All right,
pushed
we'll
it.
see you guys next week.